Role-playing is dead, and they killed it. A rant. I'm probably not going to watch this whole video. I'm not probably not going to watch it. I'm not watching this whole video. I refuse. I would like to hear the rant, however, about how role-playing is dead, and I hear it starts at 2 minutes and goes to roughly 22 minutes.
I can only lament.
You started with it. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Lament at the state of role-playing at the moment, and I'm going to be quite honest with you. I did a hobby nightmare about this a few years ago, maybe a year ago now, where somebody mentioned Critical Role.
Hobby nightmare mentioning Critical Role. I have a so this was put in my trash thing. I've never watched a thing from this guy. I assume I'm not going to like this video.
And how they've kind of ruined their experience in terms of role-playing. And I've started to see the influence in the games that I've either attempted to run or actually ran. Me and my friend John was trying to get together a group for a grim, dark fantasy role-playing game.
They're always doing grim, dark. How about we go with the tone that is comfortable for everybody, and then you just do the content you want to do and have it match the tone. We're about to go into a demon vault. It's not a great place. You could say it's grim and or dark, but it's not grim dark, okay? It doesn't have to be fucking Bloodborne, you uninspired swine, okay? Boys, little boys that don't know how to tell a story, all right? It's because they have no real problems. They always need to roleplay feudalism and rape. Dude, they definitely do. Telling stories is gay. So you better believe there's some gay involved.
We're thinking of. It's kind of like a mixture between Warhammer the Old World and Conan the Barbarian, with a little bit of Dishonored thrown in there too, because Dishonored's just so cool. And
it's just a bunch of video games you like. I can tell it sucks already. I can tell the campaign sucks already. You didn't mention a single character. It'd be actually fun if they did Bloodborne type setting, but you can do one. Just do one.
We're treating it as a
Bloodborne settings are cringe.
As a prequel to Black Coats. So, you know,
do something original.
The fantasy world will eventually
be
end
inspired.
up in a place like
Don't
Black
just
Coats,
be
where everything's dark and dingy. But right now, it's still got a lot of fantasy elements to it.
Although, I mean, I'm sure you know what? I bet you could make a module for that, or like an adventure that has lore accurate.
We're still a medieval fantasy here, but it's very grim and it's very dark. So I went to my local gaming cafe.
Fuck
one that's
bicycles.
This art he stole from someone, or did he buy it?
Near me. They're very nice people. And
okay, I gotta speed you up though, man.
I put an advertisement on there. You know, if you guys want to roleplay, then you know, email me and we'll get talking. We'll get talking. A few people did email me, and I ended up speaking to a few of them on Discord or on a call. And the RPG that we wanted to run has not moved forward. Why? Because the local role players have decided to introduce several stringent rules that we have to follow, or we can't roleplay with them. I'm talking 8 different people who don't know each other. Emailed me or called me. Said, yeah, I want to be a part of this role-playing scene, this role-playing game you're doing. Excellent, I'd say. And these are all people from different backgrounds. They're all different ethnicities, different sexes, different ages, right?
He's gonna find out that he's in the social minority here. The woke mind virus, it's actually just they're not personable humans.
And they all said similar things. Number one, they asked for role-playing safety tools. And I was puzzled. So what do you mean? What are role-playing safety tools? Only for them to roll their eyes at me and say, no, what it is I have a card with a red X on it. If you do something I don't like in the game, or that triggers me somehow, then I just hold up that card, or I tap that card, and we have to move on to another scene, because, you know, it's too, you know, it's getting under my skin.
Yeah, you could do that. We just would be like, stop, or whatever. I don't know. We've been role-playing for a long time. I don't have, like, this explicit system, but if a player wanted us to have the system, we would just have it. We don't seem to need it, because I don't cross people's boundaries usually. It's not something I don't like. People had to come up with this because of white boys constantly putting rape and everything. Oh yeah, like shit happening to your characters you don't want to happen. So I have floated and asked certain questions before sessions, or like many weeks before a session, because I knew something might be coming up, to like probe to see if like a player would be uncomfortable with certain things, typically in like mind control and body horror stuff, or like maiming of their characters or whatever I like to ask about. But we've had these conversations, like, and I think you ought to, because, like, you know, you want everyone to have fun. It's kind of the idea. You want everyone to have fun, but you also want them to have an experience that they can't get from their own head, right? So, like, it has to be out of their comfort zone a little bit, like, inherently, because it's in your head, right? Anyway, that's not unreasonable, though. And 8 different people brought it up. It sounds like a thing that they want, probably because they are in the... These are people that signed on to say, yeah, I would like to join your publicly sourced gaming circle, and I game with friends only. So, yeah, I mean, these people have probably had bad experiences with guys just like this one.
Right. Okay, that was one that came up with. The second, one other person said they wanted to read my setting to make sure it wasn't problematic and triggering to them. Yeah, you can see where we're going with this. Another one said they wanted veils and lines. And when I queried what those were, she immediately told me that I wasn't a good DM and she didn't want to play with me if I didn't know what those were.
Oh, well, I'm a bad one too. Veils and lines? I don't know what that means either.
I then researched what those were, and veils are essentially, you know, things that people don't want to discuss at the table, and lines are certain scenes. And
oh, we're still talking safety tools? Oh, I forgot he was still on the safety tools thing. I was like, veils and lines, like plot threads, or I don't know. Sounds made up. So that's still like, that's the same thing we were just talking about. I just don't use the terminology. I don't know.
Certain aspects that people don't want to talk about when they're at the table role-playing.
That said, I mean, if you're a type of person who's like, you don't know what this terminology is, you're a bad DM, that person actually does sound like a dick that I wouldn't want at my table. There you go. 1 out of 8 people are actually a dick. Like, just take the time to be like, oh, you don't know about that? Well, this is something that I've had at my tables, and here's what it is. And, you know, I'm more comfortable at tables that implement something like this. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, you can approach that better. You don't have to be indignant to people when they're just trying to see about stuff. But I mean, that said, I don't know. I don't know if this guy was at. He says, of course, from his point of view, that he was just being normal and asking. But I mean, how do you know that person wasn't exasperated with what is obviously his fucking tone, right? So,
one other guy had a veil, and it was called murder. He didn't want to discuss murder or killing of any sort. In a grimdark fantasy setting called Grimblade, he didn't want to do killing.
You called it Grimblade? It's like a fucking teenager's OC. This is Grimblade.
Or you know, or murder of any sort.
All right, so it sounds like they're not a fit for your situation. I think you should be open to the idea of like safety tools. If you're playing a public game with strangers.
A setting where we've highlighted that the main characters, your characters, were playing as assassins. He called me up.
You're all assassins?
Playing the game, but didn't want the game to be about murder. I'm sorry. Go play somewhere else then. I have dealt with this for weeks now, and it's getting right up my fucking nose.
Up your fucking nose? Oh, the bongers. Love the fact that I care more about the usage rights for this background art than whatever Grim Chud McDeathborn is saying. It's Grimblade, thank you.
And so I sat back, and I had a little think. There is something that a subscriber who is a good friend of mine now, because we've got to know each other quite well, who may even play when we roleplay on the channel. He sent me a role-playing game called Candela Obscura. And this came out last year, and he said, oh, this seems a bit like Blackcoat, but not as good. And I took that with a pinch of salt, because I'm not very good with compliments. Most of you will know that. I get very awkward, and I don't like discussing, you know, that kind of thing. But then,
it must be a thing he's worked on.
I read the book. And this book is written, at least in proviso, in partnership with the folks over at Critical Role.
I love that we're getting parts of his like mental illness in this. Oh, if someone gives me a compliment, I get very uncomfortable. Look, we can deflect a compliment because it's about something that you disagree with about yourself. But being like real uncomfortable with getting a compliment is just a little bit of weirdness. And I think maybe you know, were you hugged as a child? Were you given compliments as a kid? You know.
Now, people have known and have said to me for a long time, these guys have kind of, how do we put it, ruined role-playing.
Okay, why do they ruin role-playing? I've heard versions, finally we get to talk about like actual DMing situations. I mean, I have a role-play heavy table. If you sit at my table, you're role-playing with me. You're gonna role-play. That's the game we're playing. It's just fun. It's just what we're here for, to explore characters and to spend time with them. And whether you think you're going to or not, you'll enjoy role playing. And these guys have done a great service, I think, showing the high level to which you could give this. It gives, you know what it gives it? It gives the dorky stuff you do around your table, it gives it a little bit of like, yeah, we fucking can do it. Are you always DM? Always. Forever DM. Forever and ever.
Does that seem harsh to you? Well, it shouldn't. Some of these guys aren't in Critical Role, but you know what I mean. You know, most of them are. Most of this show has kind of ruined the hobby. At least in my local area. I don't know what it's doing in yours, but I had to make this video to get this off my chest.
You think that? They don't do the card thing you're talking about? They don't do this.
Okay. When I read this book, it is a grim Victorian setting, right? Fair enough. Sounds like it'd be right up my alley, actually. Do you know what I mean? Very Black Coats-ish, you know? Bit of Dishonored in there, too. Turn of the century, Victorian style. Lots of really cool, low-level sci-fi stuff going on. Great stuff, right? It is basically also a utopia, where every race and every culture and every person is holding hands singing Kumbaya, essentially.
I don't think they are singing Kumbaya. I think they have strife. I think there's problems all over this. You're just not seeing it right. There's classism, for instance. I mean, here's the thing. That's their official, like, setting. Straight up, if you're a big racist piece of shit and you only have you and your buddy Jeff to play with or whatever the fuck his name was, because everybody else is just far too woke to play at your table, and so you and Jeff are the only ones playing fucking D&D or whatever, Candela Obscura, Black Coats, then you can have racism in your campaign with just you and Jeff. That's fine. If that's what gets in your jellies, you can have racism. It's in your head, man. You can have a racist little roleplay session, and you know, you just won't do it very often. You won't have the hobby as much, you know, because you're antisocial and racist, and people don't like those types of people. You don't have to be that way. You choose it.
And when I read the book, it talks down to you constantly, telling you not to be mean to other people at the tabletop, telling you how and when to roleplay in a negative way, when your character should react to things negatively, things like that, right? It is hand-holding to the nth degree, and it commits the worst possible sin, the worst sin that I can think of. It is a book that you need to buy for 35 English pounds, right? And it tells you, if you don't like certain rules, then make up your own and don't use them. No!
He's literally mad at them saying, and if you don't want to do this, then don't, man. What are you upset about?
I just paid you £35. You write the fucking rules, please.
Yeah, but if you have a homebrew, how could they possibly know every single permutation of your game, man? You're so stupid. Ugh. I have a highly homebrewed campaign. I don't even use like normal stat blocks anymore. All my fucking stat blocks are essentially like homebrewed stuff. It's pretty sick shit, like in a good way. But also, it's a sicko thing. It's a lot of mind labor that I give myself.
Have the balls to stand behind what you create, and if you get it wrong, fair enough, admit it, and say to people, I'll release an update. An FAQ, an update to the rules, no problem, for free. If you bought them, you can download them. Stand behind what you created.
What's his gripe? Stand behind what you created? They are. You can make up rules to the game too, you know?
I have to do it in the rules that I make. I can't just say to people, you know, I give my rules away for free, and I still update them for free. Why do people like this seem like it's okay to bait and switch you, to scam you, essentially, into buying a game that isn't a game? It's some very loose rules and a lot of acting advice. And here's where my main gripe is with Critical Role and the new generation of role players that make me want to vomit.
Make me want to vomit? Acting advice? Yeah, I think that's great to add to a role-playing game where you play a role. Yeah, that's great. Absolutely. Because this is the game that they're selling. Yeah, vomit then. Do it. Puke. Puke all over yourself. You fucking won't. Puke and shit.
The people you're seeing on screen are not role players.
Disagree.
They are amateur actors.
I don't think they're amateur actors at all. They're all professional actors. Literally, they're all professional actors.
Who roll dice occasionally. That's what they are. They're not role players. If you go to a role-playing game expecting to play a Critical Role episode, you are not role-playing. You are part of an amateur dramatics group. That is what you are.
Well, then I guess I'm part of an amateur dramatics group that plays pretty, I would say, high-level D&D. I would say with a high level of proficiency. Lots of drama, lots of character. And I still want more of it. I still have... I rolled a hit is the only thing you can say this guy to this guy at the table. The thing that makes the hitting the monsters fun is that they care about the character.
And there's nothing wrong with that. If that's what you want to do, go. Have fun.
There's nothing wrong with it. Here's my 37-minute video on why I hate it.
But these people writing rules is exactly what Candela Obscura is, right? Got the bloody book here. Smacking it, right? Shit. If I paid £35 for this, I'd be furious. And this guy, who's a friend of mine, he sent me this. It's his only copy, and he said you can keep it. I don't want it. Keep it for posterity, so you know how not to write an RPG. It is restrictive. It is overly overbearing. And the rules actually gives you to do anything else that's actually in the game are flimsy. It can be thrown away with no pretext whatsoever.
It's overbearing and also too loose at the same time. You sound like a hater. He just sounds like a hater who got a free copy of this. The rules are too strict and also not strict enough. That's true.
This is where we are with role-playing now. Because these people...
Why don't you explain the fucking game and see... Can you give me part of the system you don't like? Can you even tell me what mechanics you don't like about the system? Having never played a session yourself? Like, of course he can't, right?
Have infected every single facet of the role-playing hobby. When people talk about Warhammer 40,000 and what they're frightened of in future, this is the kind of thing they're talking about. That we're going to lose the grimdark aspect of it. That we're going to lose the storytelling on the tabletop aspect of playing really cool battles where everything dies horribly.
Just do that. What? Just do it.
We're going to lose that. Getting away from 40k though, because this is not a 40k video. Role-playing, as it is dead. Now, I know that sounds dramatic. I know that sounds ridiculous. Hear me out, please.
It's the more popular than it's ever been.
If you find a group of friends who want to roleplay in a game like, say, Vampire the... Look what's happened to Vampire the Masquerade, right? Vampire the Masquerade was counterculture. It was violent, it was dark, and it was filled with monsters. And yes, there were cringe people playing it from time to time, but most of the time, it was done respectfully, and you're playing an adult role-playing game. And it felt that way. You had the real sense of foreboding when you played Vampire the Masquerade, especially with a gifted storyteller leading the party, leading the game, right?
Yeah, sure. I've only ever seen, like, the gays and goths play Vampire the Masquerade.
You role-played your ass off, and you left most sessions. I've seen people leave near in tears, but in a good way. Like, whoa, that was really... Wow, that was intense, right? In a good way. Okay?
Go. Okay. So role-playing's good, unless they're doing it, because they're woke. Wizards even says you can make up rules to Magic if you want. They don't care. Yeah, I mean, they don't give a fuck.
Vampire the Masquerade. But then
you want you to buy the stuff.
Modern Vampire the Masquerade, and it's all about, you guessed it, veils and lines, and RPG safety tools, and them constantly apologising for how the game used to be. The book's filled with that. The book is filled with White Wolf apologising for what their own game used to be. They apologise for all the edgy parts, and they say, don't worry, we filed down all those interesting edges, and we've given you this, you know, grey sludge of a game. Have fun.
I don't understand. Just play the game you want to play. Do you like the mechanics? If not, use the old Vampire the Masquerade. Huh? You already have it, right? Just play the old one and go do it. I don't care. What? What?
It's shit.
What makes it shit?
Well, there are a few mechanics that I do like in it. I like the Hunger Dice in the new Vampire the Masquerade. That's great.
Never mind, he likes mechanics in it. What the fuck?
Yeah. Aside from that, shit. Don't play it. Play original Vampire. Go back and play that. And I'm noticing something. The older greybeards are the only ones I seem to be able to have fun role-playing with. These...
Because you're antisocial, and you have one other friend that you like to play with? Like,
older dudes who were around in the original Vampire the Masquerade days.
Older dudes. Wow.
In the original D&D days, who know how to roleplay. They don't sit there adopting stupid voices. They don't sit there putting on fake accents. They don't cosplay.
They're just themselves when they roleplay every time? They don't do any voices? Why do I know all these voices if I'm not going to use any of them? No voices? How do you know the characters apart? Okay, so say the DM is DMing a goblin and a human man. And you know, it's the two of them and they're buddies. And then it's the party talking to them. You're not going to differentiate, as the DM, you're not going to differentiate your voice between the goblin and the human man buddy cop situation, which sounds like a great NPC duo. You're not gonna be like, "Oi, boss! I don't know. Maybe we should give them the fucking map. I don't know what the fuck is going on with these guys. We haven't done anything. And then you go, no, Bug. We can't give them the map. We gotta fight to the death. Draw your blade, wanderers. Sounds like a shit game. Yeah, I don't know. Like, how do you not have like a fucking, you have any creativity in your heart at all? You're just dead inside? The British, man. What's the point? What's the point of them?
And they don't act like a fucking theatre actor at the table.
But I'm good at it. I'm a good theatre actor. A theatre at the... I'm a thespian.
They sit there and they roleplay doing things that their characters would do in the game.
Yeah,
right?
Yes, correct. While doing a voice, that's correct.
They embody their characters, and they do it. If
they embody their characters, unless they're talking in their voices. That's not embodying the characters.
Vampire the Masquerade series, LA by Night, right? I really like that series, even though I don't like the game, because there are several actors there that actually do quite a good job of, you know, doing vampire. You know, it's quite good. But even then, you lose interest eventually because they're not really playing the game. The first 5 or 6 sessions are all role-playing, and it's great. From then on in, it devolved into amateur dramatics. I'm not here for that. I'm here to watch you playing a game of Vampire the Masquerade and role-playing. I'm not...
Sits at the table. Hi, I'm Joe. I'm a daytime janitor. I'll be playing the character Joe, who is a nighttime janitor. Ooh.
Here for you to do your demo reel for your next acting job.
Sizzling.
And the storyteller for that game, Jason Carl, whenever he does a voice or whatever, he keeps his own voice, but changes it very slightly for NPCs. But he's such a good storyteller, you're wrapped up in the moment, and it's like you're listening to an audiobook with him. It's brilliant. That's the kind of thing you need to do as a role player. Don't change your voice into like this very high-pitched voice. Don't try to do anything like that. Just embody your character with your own voice and your own mind. That's all.
Yeah, this is terrible, stupid advice. In fact, I have the opposite advice. There's lots of people who are scared little babies when it comes to role-playing, and I think they should shut up and just do it because it's so fucking fun. You need to let yourself go. You need to stop holding on to yourself and lose yourself in a character and do a voice. It helps you get further away and closer to the character. 100 times out of 100, it is better. Even if it's just an accent, even if it's just like, you know, your voice, but you add this on it. I don't know. Up in your nose. That's the character. He talks up in his nose. He's like he's hoity-toity for some reason. That's all you got to do. I guess I talk louder when I do that too. Oh, Greg. We're not going to do old Greg again.
All you need to do. And all you need to ask yourself is, what does my character do? And what do they want? Those are the only 2 questions you need to ask yourself, and then act accordingly at the tabletop.
That's really fucking dumb. You're a terrible, terrible roleplay enjoyer. Why are you so bad at this? Why is it something you even like to do if you don't like to do it? What the fuck? You ever thought about like challenging yourself? You ever thought about finding out more about yourself? Anybody? You ever wanted to experience more than you've experienced? And experience a new thing? Me too.
Use the rules you have in front of you. Use robust gaming systems that tell you when to roll for certain things. That allow you to express yourself in any which way you want to within the game world. That's a role-playing game. Candela Obscura is not a role-playing game. It is a very loose guide on how to be a bad actor. Made by these people.
All right, buddy. I think that's plenty of his take on D&D or whatever, or role-playing or the lack thereof. I don't agree. I think you definitely should step out of your comfort zone. But into something that is comfortable. Like, it's both. So what is a goofy voice or a fun accent that you like to talk in, which is just like, you know, could be your southern voice. I don't care. If you think it's fun to talk like this, I want you to talk like this. Anything that's easy for your mouth. If you're a first-time player, I super strong recommend doing a voice. It helps you loosen up at the table. Like, it helps you differentiate between your player voice and your character voice, so you don't have to go like, my character says all the fucking time. It's very annoying. It makes gameplay much quicker, honestly. It helps everybody understand that you're in or out of the game. And it definitely, absolutely improves your ability to get into the headspace of the character that you're pretending to be. It's absolutely something I think you should do. And if it's not like a full accent, then it should just be like if it is just your voice or something, you should have peculiarities. There should be something about your voice. Maybe you use hard diction. Maybe you don't use hard diction. Maybe maybe you use slang more often. Maybe there's something about it. Maybe it's lower. Maybe it's just a lower version of your voice, and it's just down here. I don't know. I also did a thing, but yeah. I can only do a dwarf accent. That's fine. I don't care. Also, you can try to do other stuff. You can't. It's definitely not true that you can only do a dwarf accent. You can do many things, but all it is like moving air around your mouth. Put it up into your nose or down into your chest or out into your mouth. You know what I'm saying? Like you can hear the difference. Just think about it. Use your tongue different. Look at the way other people talk. You don't even have to match an accent. It's a fantasy game. Just whatever. The little stupid voice you use for your fucking dog. That's perfect. That's a perfect voice for your character. Build the character around that or something. It will improve your roleplay experience every single time, and you'll find yourself falling in love with the hobby.